how to stand out on your team. So this is a really important one. When you're working on a team, you don't want to be the one that's kind of known in the cut and just on standby. You want to be a standout. You want to be able to be memorable, and you want to make sure that people know who you are. Very important. Very important. Now, as we get started, a couple of things. I'm your host, Edison Abelard, co-founder of DigiSpire Group, and also the host of the Stack Bytes podcast. You can find it on iTunes and on our website, edisonabelard.com/podcast. And in that podcast, I talk a lot about more or less on the topics that surround senior developers, lead developers, and CTOs. So we talk about a lot of the things that are important, everything from leadership to emerging technology, what's going on in the world of tech. So definitely check that out if you're into that and you really want to take your career to the next level. Check out the Stack Bytes podcast. So you might catch me looking over to the left. Of course, my screens are all onto my left side, so I'll occasionally just glance over, make sure comments are good, and also have my notes there and make sure I cover everything in the training for today. Because I want you to be a standout developer. I want you to be able to be memorable, because being memorable means when those pay raises come and when those opportunities arise, you want to be there for them. If they can't remember you, they might not ever fight for you. Okay? Cool. Make sure everything is good. You might catch me doing a little bit of tea sipping. I got this. Yeah. Huge Zelda fan. My son saw this in the mall and was like, yeah, you got to have that one. So got my little Zelda mug with some tea in there. Yeah, it's going downhill. How it is, you got kids and it's that season, no matter what you do, you're getting sick. Oh, it's gonna happen. So let's jump right to it. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section. No matter which platform you're on, Facebook, YouTube, uh, I will be looking at the comments during the live call. And if something comes up and you're thinking about it, just drop a line and I'll definitely, uh, you know, give you a shout out and of course, answer your questions. Oh, we got somebody from Russia here. What's going on? They're in characters. I can't say the name, but what's up? What's up? Good to have you here. If you have any questions, I'm glad that you came through on the live. Right. First thing that we're going to do is talk about accountability and being self-sufficient. All right. So accountability is really about being somebody who you can trust to get things done, but also somebody who is willing to say, hey, something happened. Whether or not it's me, we need to get this done because we're a team. We want to make sure that you are able to be someone that they can trust to know that regardless of who or what has happened, that you're going to be there and make sure that you're taking care of the team. And that can come in a lot of format. So you can be somebody who, when a problem arises, you can be like, hey, look, I found this problem. Or if you're questioning whether or not you caused a problem or not, being able to say, hey, look, I think that I might have caused this issue, or I think I found an issue, or I'm having trouble with this. Can I get your feedback? Something as simple as that, being able to say, hey, I have this issue, or I see this issue and here's the steps that I think I can take, or what do you see me being able to do if you're talking to a lead. Uh, Also, in being accountable, you want to be somebody that when a task is given, that you can complete the task or you'll address the task in the best way possible. And that could be, whether if you're doing an agile scrum type of, setup, talking to the scrum master, project leads. Sometimes people will do agile, but they kind of take the pieces of agile they you know, like the stand-up meetings and kind of skirt everything else. So being accountable, being somebody that we know will get the job done, it's really important. Funny enough, was working with this one client, and we step in, and they're like, "Oh, look, here's something that we did. It's live on Facebook. You can do XYZ with it, and we want to create something similar, but we want to, add these XYZ features." And I was like, "All right, cool, let's do that." At their office, they showed it to us, and immediately the first thing I did was, let me check it out. And I check it out, and I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. Now, mind you, there's a lot going on. This is a new client we're working with, and there's a lot riding on the brand that they actually created this project for. So immediately, I go find the project lead. I'm like, ah, I just want to make sure you know that this is not working. And she looks at me and is like, sure. And I'm like, no, seriously, it's not working. What do we do now to get this thing fixed? Because if this has been live for 3 months, at the time she said it was live for 3 months, no one has been using this. And it makes sense why you wouldn't have any metrics. And she stopped and she looked at me. It's the first time we met. And she's like, hold on. She takes me to every like literally we're on one floor, and in New York City, she's taking me from room to room to room to room to room, and she is livid because no one else in the team realized that this was broken. So she's just looking like, all right, what were you guys doing? Why did this thing break, and how come no one knew about it? Well, at the time, as she was going, I was like, all right, look, I understand it's not working, but let's fix it. Let's find a way to fix it. And that's what we did. We weren't contracted to do that work, but it was an emergency. So we fixed it for them right away. And it was we ended up working on a few more projects with them. They were really excited, but being accountable, no blame. This is just about being accountable and being able to say, hey, I see this, let's get this thing done, let's move forward. Right? Accountability is huge. Next on the list is know when to ask for help. All of us go through bids where we feel strong. We're like, we got this. We're straight. But there are times when you just need help. There's no way around it. You just need help. It's important that you're able to say, I need help, right? There are going to be situations where someone else might have solved the problem already. We're not looking for you to be the be all know all for every single situation. Whenever I'm talking with leads or CTOs and we're talking about, building a culture, right? A culture ad. You want people who want to be able to add a culture where it's okay to mess up. It's okay to ask for help, because at the end of the day, we're a team. We want to make sure that we get our business objectives met and that we do it in a reasonable manner. Right? Asking for help now can almost feel like it's a weakness, right? Who are we kidding? Sometimes, and especially with certain organizations that have poor leadership, asking for help can almost be like, so what am I paying you for? And for those situations, there are other ways we can skirt around that, right? We can say, hey, can I get your eyes on this? Right? Just tweaking just a little bit. How you, I'll use this a lot. How you position things it's very important. So by tweaking the conversation and say, hey, can I get your eyes on this? It's not saying I need your help. It's like, hey, you want to take a look at this right quick? And that can come off more as, oh, sure, I can take a look at it, or I'm busy, which is cool. But just finding different ways to still be able to say, I need help. And if you're in those environments, just position it a little different. I've actually seen this, and this was one of those moments where you want to just jump out and help somebody, but I couldn't help them. And I'm watching the team dynamics, and there are two developers, and they're trying to solve a problem, right? They spend 2 days, two developers trying to solve one problem, but they wouldn't ask for help. And and sometimes in working with teams, I'll just be there to observe, right? Can't really jump in because then it kind of defeats the ecosystem. And being an intruder in the ecosystem, I can affect the ecosystem. So the best way to learn is just to watch. 2 days go by. And finally, they can't figure out, right? Googling things, they can't figure it out between the two developers. And finally, they ask for another developer's help. And the developer fixes it in 2 minutes. 2 days, two developers fixed in 2 minutes. It's a lesson, in not asking for help. It actually added so much more overhead. And the projects that they did have scheduled, they weren't pushed back by a lot. Because if your project is getting pushed back by 2 days and it's like, that's it, everything's, we need to talk a little bit about project management. But it did, it was something, it was a humbling experience because at the time, the developer was sitting right next to them and just had his headphones on. So if he didn't have his headphones on, he probably would have heard them going back and forth, at the times that they were talking about it. But asking for help is okay. It's all right to, Google something, try to find a solution. And if you have a problem, there's a difference between something not being able to be done and not knowing it, right? Saying that, oh, we can't add this to this because of technology, that's a definitive answer. Sometimes it's just you don't know how to do something. So, let's talk about the two difference, right? Not being able to do something and not knowing how to do something, right? Or something not being able to be done because of technology or any type of constraints. The next thing I want to talk about is being a doer and not a downer, right? Look, our industry, there are going to be times where we have to do the impossible. There are going to be times when you have leadership that's not feeling you, or there's going to be times when you have great leadership, but those projects are killing us. I met somebody one time that said, you need to have ups and downs, right? You need to have these valleys, these hills and these valleys when you work. When you start off a project and it's a hill, and it starts to go down, you go back up a hill again, and it goes down again, you go back up a hill. It's hard for you to really capture a break and be able to work efficiently. And so the best thing is, just now this goes into a little bit into project management, but the best thing to do is to have a low valley where people can catch up, breathe, and get some successes to get ready for the next uphill battle. If you go on a treadmill or an elliptical, sometimes they'll have hills as one of the challenges. This is what that is. That's why you get those peaks and valleys. You need to be able to recover. Now, with that being the case, let me take a sip right quick. Got some likes. What's going on? Facebook showing some love too. Cool. It's like you get used to doing things with one arm, one hand. You're like, wait, why isn't this working? So, so yeah, so you want to be able to, whenever you have a conversation, whenever you're, hold on, got some more comments here. Whenever you have an up or down, or it could just be working on a project for tons of hours. It could be working 60, 70 hours. In that moment, you could be working on a project and everything would be going good and great. When you are a downer, you bring down the whole team. Like you just, like you could be in a happy moment, everybody's like excited. It's not even project related. And then you show up, you're like, well, things aren't going to work out. No one's going to want to hang with you. Nobody's going to want to be like, hey, like so and so is here. They're going to be like, oh man, not again. And that could lead to you being fired. That's whenever you're talking about relationships, just outside of programming, right? You can be, I call the multiplication or the arithmetic of relationships, right? You can either be an addition to the relationship, you can be a subtraction, you can be a multiplier, or you can be a divider. You want to be careful of being a divider and a subtraction. Very important, right? So in being a downer, it changes the mood. People aren't going to want to be around, and it's difficult to work with. However, funny story, true story, right? I'm thinking about what to title this section, right? And I'm like, right, really, it's don't be a downer. Be a doer, not a downer. When things happen, be the one to step up, be the one to help out, be the one to say, okay, let's change the paradigm, right? Just shift the conversation, change the paradigm to be more positive or to be more active. Let's figure out how to solve the problem, similar to the story I said earlier with that client. Things went wrong, forget the blame. That's a downer. Let's do something about it, right? Let's fix the problem. Let's get to the core, and afterwards we can talk about we can do a SWOT analysis, or we can, do just some kind of deep dive into what happened and how we can, better control the situation. Maybe even add some tests. But you want to be a doer. You want to be seen as a person who's going to do things, change things, and make things happen, right? So back to that funny story. So I'm calling this running with rum cake. Okay, so it's a good one. It's a good one. And so we were running through one particular project, and it was tough, and the stakes are high. Now, in some projects, you're trying to get things accomplished for a client, and you're like, there's money involved. The stakes were high on this one beyond just the client and beyond marketing and advertising. And so that plays a mental toll. So you're just like, I need to solve this problem. And, I need to make sure it's right. We can't mess up. And so going through, trying to solve this problem, trying to solve this problem, trying to solve this problem. And it's getting tough. And so, we knew somebody in the team, knew somebody who makes rum cake. And it was like, say word, rum cake? And it was like, all right, cool. How much is it? Because you're gonna make us some rum cake. And so, so we ended up getting some rum cake, and got some rum cake and shared it with the team, and the whole team. We had rum cake and some wine and some other things, to just, it was tough. We had a war room going on. I mean, it was serious, but that rum cake just turned the whole mood around. It was just like, everyone was over 18, 21. We're in America. Everyone was over 21. But doing things like that, having pizza. I remember working with, so advertising agencies, this happens, but we kind of built, I'm from New York, so you're used to working with advertising agencies, and you're used to working with high expectations, and really fast deliverables. And I remember we were busting out these projects left and right, left and right, left and right, and at one point the project ended up becoming so overwhelming and so difficult that it was just hard to find more positive energy to bring into the mix. I remember one of the project managers showed up and came with sandwiches, pizzas, drinks, beers. I mean, everything. It was like a Saturday, everything. And it was just like, say what? And it was just that one little touch. It's like right when everything was breaking, boom. She showed up with everything. I mean, cookies. It was just like, oh my goodness. If you're ever in New York, there's a bakery called Magnolia, right? If you watch Sex and the City, depending on how old you are, there was a show called Sex and the City, and it was featured in that show. Ooh, you want to talk about business? The cupcakes are crazy expensive. Not gonna lie, a cupcake might be $4, and it might be like this big. I mean, but it's Magnolia, right? Oh, I mean, so when you're getting those expensive treats, you're like, oh, you wait in. But it was building morale, right? Being a doer, not a downer. Checking that the team needed some support, they needed a lift, and that's what she did. She gave us some treats. It was what it was. But we were excited. It gave us the edge that we need to move forward. And you can do this on your team in many different ways. You can, just be somebody that's positive, that can just be like, hey, let's change the paradigm. Let's talk about what we can do, and let's skirt the all the negativity, right? We already know projects late, we don't have enough hands, we don't, all right, we get it, but let's move forward now. How can we push the agenda forward? You can be that person, and doing these things will make you stand out on your team. Okay, to recap, being accountable and self-sufficient, being somebody that you can trust to get the job done, but also being accountable to your team, to yourself, and to the organization, making sure you reach the business objectives. And when something does arise, regardless of whose fault it is, blaming is going to sidetrack. Be accountable, be self-sufficient, be that team player. You're going to stand out. Know when to ask for help. We all need help. At some point, we're going to need help. No one is going to be that one source of truth for every single problem. You're going to need help at some point. And being able to reach out to fellow developers, or be able to say, hey, can I get your eyes on this? Or what do you think about this strategy? Different ways to kind of ask for help and still be able to hold yourself up and hold yourself down and be like, I'm moving forward. I've tried different things. What's your thought? Right? You want to be somebody that can ask for help, because at the end of the day, you don't want to spend 2 days working on a problem that can be fixed in 2 minutes if you were just to ask for help. Just get some of this Zelda tea. It's really not Zelda tea. Feels good. Uh, Asking for help can feel like a weakness. It's not. Be upfront. Not everybody's going to be able to do everything, and that's cool. I would rather you ask for help than get sidetracked and go into a deep, Stack Overflow. I think is still the popular one. Go into this dive where you're like looking for solutions on Google and don't even know what the problem is. Ask for help. It's cool. Uh, Definitely be a doer, not a downer, right? You want these conversations to be happy. You want these conversations to be positive. There's a lot of things that go wrong. We get it, but let's move on, right? You can't fix the things you can't change. So let's make sure that we move on. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you, Magnet 39. So you want to make sure that you do these things, because that's how you're going to be a standout on your team. You're going to be able to be that person they're going to remember, right? You're going to remember people who are efficient, people who are accountable. You're going to remember people who are doers, right? Getting things done. Because when leads are out there and they have their, because for the most part, leads are like bona fide technical managers, right? The technologists that manage professionals, and they are the ones that get the brunt, right? When something goes wrong and the client sees something, you're not the punching bag. Normally they are. So when you do things that are like gonna hold them down, they're gonna be like, like this person held me down when XYZ was happening, and I'll remember that in the future, right? And of course, all of these things are going to move you towards being a better software developer and push you towards the direction in which you want to be, and that is to be a standout. Cool. So I'm gonna check some questions real quick and see if anyone has any questions, some comments, some feedback. And thank you everyone for joining. These calls and videos, podcasts, whatever you want to call them. These trainings will happen every Wednesday. Might change it. I've been getting some feedback. Some people, this is 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to play around with some scheduling and see if I can get some more people, in on these conversations. Let's check out our people on Facebook and LinkedIn. You ever get a song stuck in your head? You're like, whoo, well, I got this Alicia Keys song. I can't shake it. It's a beautiful song. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. If you have any questions, this video will be live on all of the platforms. And, if you're in our Developers Leading in Tech group, you're already going to see this, and you already know every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. I'm going to be doing these live trainings for free, completely for free. If not, definitely follow me on YouTube. That's Edison Abelard or E Abelard on everything. So you'll see this all over the place on social media. Leave comments, regardless of which platform you have it in. Either myself or my team will catch it, and we'll get you questions and answers and whatever you need, right? The whole point of this is to get you the skills that you need, right? Because at some point you want to be in a room where you are no longer the smartest person. You want to be in a room full of high quality engineers. And what do you do when you get to that point? Right? That's what these videos are all about. Let's push you to that point where now when you're in a room and all of you are at the same level playing field, how do you stand out? How do you move your career forward? And how do you be the person that you want to be and get to and reach those goals that you want to reach? Cool. This is Edison Abelard. Once again, you can find me at edisonabelard.com. If you're also looking for other content, DigiSpire Group, we're always putting stuff out. We're definitely looking forward to giving you more resources, more skills, more leg ups, and regardless of which situation you're in, junior, senior, leads, looking for ways to make sure that you can still move forward in your career. Cool. All right. Eat a Snapple and I'm out.